That's not a question. It's the name of the Aussie-born pop star whose debut single became a viral sensation back in the olden days of 2013.
Will you marry me?
Since then, she's been churning out luscious bops and creating a name for herself on the world stage. With the release of her fourth studio album last year, Betty went big, and she's back in Oz to play all her bangers live on stage.
Would you please welcome Betty Who? Did I hear that right? You haven't been home in 6 years?
6 years. I know I had plans to come back 2020, of course.
You can't blame COVID for 6 years.
Okay, that's fair, understandable. But it's been really, really nice to be back. It's been kind of strange, and I've been walking around just being like, I just had Sushi Train an hour ago, and I was like, used to come here all the time with my mum when I was like 12, so it's been good.
You missed the Sushi Train.
I missed Sushi. I walked past a couple days ago, I was like, we're going to go eat there.
Nothing says Australia like Sushi Train.
Classic Australian cuisine.
Yes, exactly.
Well, you left Australia years ago when you were younger, and usually people struggle here, they build their career up here, and then they go overseas and they make it overseas. But you've kind of done it the opposite way. Is that weird?
Yes, a little bit. Well, my mum's American, so I have always sort of spent a lot of time between the two. Even when I was really, really young. And so I got into performing arts high school for cello, which feels random now that I do this. And I ended up sort of spending high school and college in Boston. I moved to New York, you know, the big city. I did it. And now I'm in Los Angeles, where actually so many Australian expats live. And it's like kind of feels like a home away from home in that way.
Well, when you left the country, you left as Jessica.
Yes.
And you are now Betty Who.
I know.
Where did that come from?
Who is she?
Who is she?
Run from something.
Yes. I killed a man. No. I actually, my Christian name, my given name is Jessica Newham, and that didn't really scream star power in some way. So I really wanted to have it. I think there's something nice about like having it be a little bit more separate. Like I'm Jess to my family and everything.
At Sushi Train.
Exactly. On the Sushi Train tickets, I'm Jess. But when I'm working and I get to meet people and they come up to me and they say, Betty, I'm like, yeah, and then, she's here. And I have to feel like, oh, I'm fulfilling this role for you today. So it kind of helps me separate, and also split personality disorder. So, yeah, exactly.
Well, let's talk a bit about the album.
Okay.
It's called Big.
Yes.
Why have you chosen that one? Why is it called Big?
Can you follow me? Yeah. Thank you. I'm 6'2", so that has always been my... Actually, it's funny, since I've been back, I've had a lot of conversations with people about tall poppy syndrome, which does not exist in America. It's very Australian.
Yes.
And something that I give both literally and spiritually, emotionally, physically, experienced as a kid. Because I hit 6 foot when I was 12, so I had a lot of...
You were in year 6 and 6 feet tall, taller than most of the teachers, I imagine.
At Ascom, 6 foot tall.
Wow.
So instead of putting me in the back of the picture, actually I had to sit in a chair while everybody else stood. You know what I mean? It was that level. And so it took me a long time. I mean, I'm still figuring out how to come into myself. I find myself slouching all the time. This whole record is about embracing who you were meant to be as opposed to who you wished you were. And that is something that I think I learned a lot about during COVID, especially. You spent a lot of time with yourself and you came to terms with a lot of things. I think we all did that. And so this record is definitely my quarantine album.
Oh, it's good to have a bit of height as well. You could reach the stuff on the top shelf.
I feel very I have lots of uses. I know other people need the little grabby arm things.
That's
Not you.
Not us.
Not you.
Your track, I Love You Always Forever, it was one of the biggest hits of 2016. But when the original came out, you were, 5 years old?
5 years old, 1996, baby. I was here in Sydney, and I remember listening to it every day in the car with my mum, heading to kindergarten or wherever I was heading. So it was such a... Well, I wanted to put out a song. I play a lot of prides, especially in America over the summer. And so I wanted to have a new song that I could sort of just sing and perform for people, and I Love Yours Forever was just like a cover that I made on a whim. I was like, no, you know, whoever will listen to it, it's just for us to play live. And then I played it for my record label at the time. They were like, this is a hit song. I was like, well, I know. I know, I remember, I was there. And then it kind of sparked, it's like, of course, like, you know, you spend your whole life trying to kick down the door of the music business, like trying so hard, and then I did something by accident and it was #1 in Australia. So that's, I think, how it goes.
So you've had all these incredible successes, but there's one in particular that I want to drill down on, which is you've gone ghost hunting with Kesha. What is happening there? What's that like? Did you find any ghosts? What is happening?
Okay, if I'm being totally honest, I went in being like, I'm not really looking. That's kind of my. I don't want to go. I kind of buy it. So I'm not trying to mess with anything. You know what I mean? I'm like, there are totally ghosts here. I believe it. Don't send me in. Do you know what I mean? That's sick. They should live their lives peacefully. But the only person who could convince me to go ghost hunting was Kesha. We had just finished up tour together. I was opening on a tour of hers in 2021. And we had the best time, clearly. Look at me, I'm lying.
I mean, that looks like a good time.
And right after tour finished, she was going to shoot the show, and she was like, I really want you to come do one of the first episodes. And so we went to this tiny town in Tennessee and had a good and also terrifying time. I really, like, genuinely, I left a little bit changed and a little bit spooked, and it took me a couple weeks to shake it off. I don't want to, like, oversell it, you know what I mean? But that was, it was a pretty...
So you found some ghosts.
It really did, like, it kind of shook me a little bit.
I have about 3,000 questions about why Kesha hosts a ghost hunting program, but we'll save that for next time. Betty's album Big is available right now. Here it is.
Yes.
Would you please thank Betty Who?